How do you feel about Trump being allowed to run for re-election? Were you surprised by this at all?
Surprised? No. I think it's pretty disgusting that we can throw away parts of our Constitution, that the Supreme Court is so eager to sign on to that because of their need to support Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I do not find the arguments from the Supreme Court very compelling at all for why that part of the Constitution needed to be thrown out to support Donald Trump.
What were the arguments? Do you remember?
Yeah. So after the Civil War, we basically, when the country was coming back together, they decided to pass an amendment. And as part of that amendment, they said that it was the 14th Amendment. Section 3 of that amendment said that if you were a prior oath taker, meaning somebody who held office, and you had engaged in or aided the enemy, engaged in insurrection or aided the enemies thereof of the United States, that you would no longer be allowed to hold office again that required taking an oath, basically. So some people argued that it was overly broad. Those people are retarded. It very narrowly targeted people that held office, and then it broadly targeted
very specific people who have to take an oath.
Yeah, it's just office holders. And then it broadly targeted people that had engaged in insurrection and all that, and then it narrowly targeted them in terms of holding office again. That was it. After the Section 5 of that amendment had allowed for Congress to heal that injury via a congressional statute. And during Reconstruction, which was the period in the years afterwards where America was trying to rebuild itself after the Civil War, Congress, I think on 2 separate occasions, passed a law basically giving blanket forgiveness to everybody so that we would all kind of come together and chill and not like hate each other. Mm-hmm. When Colorado had said, well, actually, we think that the 14th Amendment is still active because it's part of our Constitution. And they said that we think that by the 14th Amendment, Section 3, Donald Trump probably shouldn't be allowed to hold office. So we're going to strike him from the primary ballots. That was challenged by Trump and it went to the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court said that, well, this would be really confusing to enforce, so we don't like it. And Congress didn't say that we're going to enforce it, so we don't like it. And it was just bullshit arguments. There is no fair reading of that amendment that would have given you either of these. It was just stupid. I've never heard somebody provide a good argument for it. I've never had anybody challenge me on it that provided a good argument. It's bullshit. It's just absolute bullshit. But the more frustrating part is that conservatives, especially conservative Supreme Court justices, will be critical of liberals for reading the Constitution too openly. Mm-hmm. So they'll be like, oh, how do you have the right to privacy because of this? Like, that's not written in there. And liberals will say, oh, well, we think that it, like, you know, you have a penumbra of rights. There are different things that imply this. And conservatives will say, well, we need to strictly read the Constitution, only the text. Yes. But for this, they went way out of bounds. And they decided that if it was difficult to enforce the thing, then the thing ought to just not be enforced, which is absolutely nowhere in the Constitution. This would never be an original reading of the Constitution. And it was total fucking bullshit.